Dude, there's so much shit going on outside though. As
Dude,
I was passing here, there's fucking fire trucks and a cop car has someone pulled over right there.
Dude, because the weather's nice now.
Yeah, right.
People are out.
They're acting up. Okay. Well, actually, before we start, there's two things I wanted to talk about. But this weekend we hit 4,000 downloads.
Yeah.
And we hit 3,000 downloads like 3 weeks ago, which is crazy to think because
that was in a week. Oh my god, guys, this is so exciting.
And then, should we wait for this noise to pass?
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a little better.
Okay.
And so we hit 4,000 downloads, and it used to take us like 2 months to get 1,000.
Yeah.
And so now we did it in 3 weeks, which is fucking crazy, bro. And every Monday I get an email in the morning letting me know how many downloads for the week we got. And this week we had about 460 downloads, which is probably like a top for us. Yeah.
Oh, last time I checked it was 400. Dang.
So that's crazy.
This is so cool.
That's crazy. Yeah. So it's scary to think that there's 460 people out there listening a week.
I know that I give this person a shout out every single time, but dude, like this is like the ride. I don't know who you are. I really, really want you to reach out to us. Whoever is in France from like a very specific town in France. You guys listen every single week to every single one. And we've been going at it for almost a year, dude. Yeah. And you've been so real ever since. So whoever you are, if you want to reach out to us, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, anything. I just want to hear from you.
Yeah, just reach out to us. It'd be cool to know who's out in France listening. Like to see like where they came from. Like they are from over here, are they Mexican and they went over there? Like just who are you? Who are you? Because I know like when we were choosing the name for the podcast, it was a French
term. So like and we did get a couple of people from France at the beginning just because of that. But like that person specifically like is the only one that's like stayed.
Yeah. Like they could have like, they told their friends here and there, but like, cause we would get like 3 or 4 from France and then like every week just one.
Yeah.
So you're a real one. And also if you guys didn't hear last week, but we're looking for wall pieces.
Yep. We're looking for artists. If you guys want to put something up here on the wall, we want to help you guys and then also decorate the wall. So whenever we have like stuff up here, like if you guys watch the videos like anybody else and you like one of the pieces, we can put you in contact with the creator, with the artist, so you guys like have the opportunity to buy it and to sell. So I just think it'd be really cool like if we just put something that's actually like from people and stuff and not just some lame shit.
Random stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be really cool. It'd be super colorful. But we're gonna over the next month we're gonna start like upgrading a lot of stuff, like especially our lighting. We're trying to get the lighting fixed right now because it's not very reliable. Consistent, right? So if you've been with us since day one, then you're gonna see a lot of changes coming up again.
For sure.
We're excited for that. But so I have a good story. I have a good
little story.
Sad story.
Oh, sad.
It's a little sad. I mean, I felt terrible that day. I was hating myself that day. But so back in college, I was I guess like hired is the right word. Not even hired, but I was asked to shoot a documentary for the soccer team for this.
I think this was almost referenced back to maybe even like the first episode we ever put out, that you were doing like a documentary for the college like soccer team, right?
No, dude, it wasn't that good, but like I didn't know what I was doing. But I think like if I can go back, I still have all that footage. So I think if I can go back and like redo it, I think it'd be really cool. But anyways, so we were driving out to, and I didn't know this. I didn't know like prior to going that where we were going. I just knew that I just had to be there for game days, and like that was it. And so I showed up, and it was an away game. And little did I know we were driving all the way to fucking like Ohio or some shit, like far as fuck, bro. Like 5 hours away.
Don't they send you like an email? Like to tell you what?
They probably did. I mean, I don't know if I read it, but yeah, we were driving far as shit, and And that day they actually won the game. I think they won. Maybe they like
Wow.
tied. That's why the coaches were like, okay, I guess we'll like feed you guys.
Oh my
But
God.
anyway, so we went to Culver's right after the game because it was right near the field. And you know, that was like my first time being at Culver's, or like even like second time. So I was just like,
Mhm.
okay, I don't really like know the food, but like me and greasy food, we just like don't mix. Like at Hooters specifically, like I have to use the bathroom before I leave because it's just one of those places that just like is super greasy, and that shit just like slides right through. So I'm at Culver's, and if you've been to Culver's, like you know how greasy like their burgers are. You know, like the butter burgers, like they're just like it's
I don't
just
think
like
I've
grease
ever
on
had.
top.
I've only had Culver's once, and it was because my boyfriend took me, and I think I only had like the chicken tenders or something like that.
Dude, you gotta get the burger.
I don't really care for it,
Have you
but
ever had? Oh, so you never even had like the fucking what's it called? The cheese curds.
I know I don't like cheese curds. I'm sorry.
I was hoping we'd get a Culver sponsorship, but that's out the door. So I get the burger and I get the cheese curds, and this is my first time having the cheese curds, and everyone's ordering them, and I'm like, what are these things? You know, like I want them too, and they're fire, especially with like the marinara sauce. Ooh, dude, so good. Anyway, so then we end up like eating, and then everyone's using the bathroom beforehand. Coaches are like, it's a long drive back. We're not making any stops. Use the bathroom right now if you need to. And I'm like, all right, I'll just go, like, I'll go pee or something. So I went to go pee, but like it didn't hit me yet that I had to use the bathroom. And I'm like, I guess I was just like, either way, if I don't use the bathroom, I'm just gonna go to sleep anyways. So like, I'm not gonna have to use the bathroom until I get back.
And you guys weren't using those like coach buses that had like the bathroom in the back?
Nah, dude, we're
No.
using little fucking
Dude, RV is so
the
gross.
vans. You're just using like regular vans. And like in the back, some kid was sitting on top of all the equipment and shit because like all the seats were out. Dude,
Oh my
RMU
God.
is so broke, man. That's why Roosevelt bought
Why
their
would they
ass.
charge me so much? How do you not have these things? I'm still paying this shit off.
Dude, to be honest. And they were able to like feed us every week at the eye centers and shit.
Yeah.
Or like in the youth center, whatever the fuck it was
I feel like
called.
they did have money and then they didn't
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason.
It's because nobody paid their stuff. That's why. Everybody just owed them money. But on the drive, okay, so we started driving back, and that's when, like, as soon as we got into the car, that's when I felt it. That's when my stomach was like, haha, like you thought, right? Like you thought. And so I got into the car, and I was like, okay, like, maybe like 20 minutes into driving, I was like, fuck. You know, like my stomach's feeling a little bubbly. You know what I mean?
A
Like
little rumbly.
my stomach's feeling a little bubbly, and so yeah, and then like I'm just telling myself like, okay, you know what? This is only like a 4 hour drive. I'm not even sure like how long, honestly, but it's like I don't think it was that long. Maybe like anywhere between like 3 to 6 hours, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, obviously, like it's not healthy to hold it
keep
in
it
for that
in.
long, and it's just not possible to hold it in for that long. And so I was like, okay, either I go to sleep right now, I wake up in downtown, and then I go to the studio we have downtown at the time, and I'll just use the bathroom there, and I'll be fine. We'll be fine.
You're troubleshooting it.
Yeah, I'm troubleshooting the whole situation. I'm like trying to think ahead. I'm like, all right, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And so I lay my head down.
Sorry, guys.
Stupid ass cop. And so I lay my head down, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to sleep right now. It's okay. I'll wake up later. And so I tried going to sleep. I closed my eyes for like 5 minutes, and like for the life of me, I could not go to
It
sleep.
was like the longest 5 minutes.
It was dark and fucking and painful.
Oh my God.
And I was okay. I'm not going to sleep. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then maybe like 30 minutes pass, and I'm like basically, I'm like sweating at this
Holding on
point.
to the seat.
Bro, I'm sweating and holding on to this shit. And I'm like, how am I gonna do this? Like, am I really gonna be like that person to make everyone stop the trip? You know what I mean?
No.
And
Did all the guys know you? Like, were you cool with the guys?
Yeah. This was
Okay.
like later on in the season. Everyone's like kind of cool with each other and shit.
Okay.
But like, I was not one to attract attention. I was always like just off to the side, you know, just like minding my own business. So for
Right.
me to like speak up and like tell the driver like, yo, you gotta pull over right now.
Oh.
Like it was like everybody was laughing and everybody was watching because they were like, what is going on? Like we never heard him talk this much before, you know. And so we're driving and I text the coach who's sitting in the passenger seat. I'm like, yo, I have an emergency. Like, I'm sorry. I know this is an inconvenient, but I need you to like get off at the next exit and like go to the gas station or something. And so he's like, okay, cool, I got you. We'll just pull off at the next like station. Or like he saw the text. I saw him look down, look at the text. He was laughing, and then he just point like a thumbs up at me.
Oh no!
And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And then we're driving, but at this point, like it's like bubbling. You know what I mean? It's just like it hurts, and I'm just like, I gotta get out now. And I saw him. They drive right past the next exit, right past.
Your
it.
life flashed before your eyes.
Dude, I had goosebumps. I was like, oh my God, this is not happening. I have the sweats, you know, I'm just like, fuck. And then I texted him again. I'm like, yo, like, this
like,
is
what the fuck are you
this is
doing?
an
You just missed
emergency.
it.
Like, this is an emergency. And he's like, nah, don't worry. Like, the next exit, there's like a Walmart or something. And I'm like, nah, bro, like, I'm dead ass right now. Like, we cannot wait any longer. Like, we need to pull over. And I'm not even like texting at this point. I'm talking to him.
Like, you went up to the guy. You're like, bro.
No, I'm in the back of the van. I'm like basically like I'm yelling at him in the front. You know, he's at the front.
You couldn't even walk up.
No, because I'm like, you know, stuck between like two other guys right here and like all this equipment around us, and so I'm just like stuck in the back. And I'm like, yo, we need to get off. Like I need to use the bathroom right now. Mm-hmm. Is it okay? Yeah. I was like, I need to use the bathroom right now. And they're just like laughing. Like, okay, cool. We're gonna pull over, and I'm like, all right, thank you. And so we pull over on the side of the expressway. We're just on the side of the expressway, and I'm telling everybody like, yo, like move. You know, I need to get out. And so I get out the car, and I look behind me as I'm walking out the car, and like all the guys are laughing, and they have their phones out, like laughing, and like Snapchatting and shit, bro. And so I walk like, I don't know, like 10 more feet. And I'm just like, all right, I think this is a good spot. And I heard someone say like, yo, watch out for the skunks or like snakes and all that shit. Because it's like where I'm standing next to a bunch of like tall grass. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, fuck. Like this is gonna this
like
can
if
go
it
bad.
happens,
Like, this can go bad
this...
any second. And yeah, so I walk like 10 more feet or whatever, and then I just
you wanted to make sure you were like out of sight.
Yeah, but the thing is like there's cars also coming on the expressway. You know what I mean? So like I feel like I definitely got spotted by a couple of cars while I was like mid squat with like my pants down. And then I just let loose. And it was like the best I've ever felt in my life. I felt so relieved, bro. I felt literally like so light. I could walk on water at that point.
Oh my God.
And then I had like an old t-shirt that I was wearing under my hoodie, and I just took that off and I used that to wipe.
Did you leave it?
Yeah, I left it with the
You litter. Jason's a litterer.
Can you imagine being the person to like find that t-shirt?
Ew. Mm-hmm. Like someone has to clean stuff up sometimes.
That's what I'm saying.
Ooh.
See, but most of the time though, they get people from jail to do that stuff.
That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's shitty.
Yeah, and they don't pay them shit.
Yeah.
That's sad. But yeah, and then I go back to the truck and everyone's just like laughing and
clowning you.
Yeah, and just but
you did your walk of shame to the back.
But dude, I slept so good on the way back home. For the next like 3 hours, I just knocked out. I was sleeping the rest of the time. And then I woke up with like this fat ass like indent on the left side of my face because I was like leaning on the ledge right there. Mm-hmm. And I caught the last train, bro. The whole fucking night was just like
popped as fuck.
So, dude, oh my God, it was all over the place. Because when we got back downtown, that was the last train headed back south, and I was like, fuck, I gotta run to catch this train now. So I don't even have time to like compose myself. I just grabbed my shit and I'm like, all right, I'm literally sprinting to the train. And so I got the last train out, and from there I got an Uber home. But I felt so gross. Dude, I felt disgusting. Oh my God.
You're like, I have to shower twice.
But yeah, that's my
your shitty story.
that's my shitty story. And like I promised myself that like I would never experience that again because it is such a horrible feeling when you're just like holding that in. Like you're just gonna tell me that's never happened to you?
Not really.
Oh
I feel like
my
I can
God.
control my bowel movements
I
better
don't
than
know.
the
My shit's
next
sensitive.
person.
No, my shit's sensitive, but yeah, dude.
Oh my God. Did you get a nickname? Like, did they call you like
No,
Shitty Pants or
imagine?
something?
Nah, because I controlled the media. You know what I mean? Like I
Ooh,
showed how like
how they look.
I basically portrayed them right through like social media and shit. So like they
Mhm.
weren't gonna fuck with me. You know what I mean? You're either because they all wanted to get their picture taken. They all want to get posted.
the soccer
Dude.
boys. Oh, if you guys know soccer boys, they cannot be trusted. They're the worst. The worst. I've had some terrible experiences with
Oh, dude, you have a
soccer
good
boys.
soccer boy story.
No. Maybe that's for a different day, but
Hey, young America, we need to talk about something called grass. Not that grass. I'm talking about marijuana. It's stimulating, mind expanding.
How was your Easter, by the way? What did you said you ended up going back to your parents?
me and my boyfriend went to go visit my parents, and then my sister and her fiance, we all ended up getting together, and it was nice. We had a little cookout, and that was pretty much it.
Did you guys go to church?
No. I told my parents like I really don't want you guys going to church just because of like everything's still like happening. Like they haven't gotten their vaccines yet, and like my mom's always like, "Oh, I want to go," but I'm like, I don't think that's safe. Like that is not safe. Like knowing like the regulations right now, and then like the church. Like in the church, like they don't give a fuck. You know, they're like,
Right.
oh, well, like they're almost like, oh, this isn't real. Like it's okay. God will save you. Like, excuse me, no. But no, they didn't go.
And then like everyone's like shaking hands.
Yeah.
And,
There's like some interaction, and like sometimes like I mean, my mom's like, no, it's safe because they block off like every other pew, and I'm
okay.
like, that's not gonna do shit. Like
It's
what
still in the
fuck?
air.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, just tell them like not to. And they're like, oh, okay.
But they've always gone to church. Like you guys have as a family have always gone to church.
Growing up, yeah, I think like once me and my sister moved out, they stopped going as much. But I know that my mom still goes frequently.
You have to make reservations and shit to even go. Like you need to reserve your spot in church.
What? Like
At least
here?
the ones by me. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm guessing
That's
they're
crazy.
They're popular.
They're exclusive.
Yeah.
First come, first served. You know, it's first come, first served, and not first come, first serve. I think I learned this like in college, where it's like first come, first, because it makes sense. If you first come, you're served first,
Right.
right? But people still say like the other way.
First come, first serve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just rolls off the tongue better, I guess, but it's incorrect.
It's a lazy thing too. I just don't want to say the full thing.
It's another fucking D. What the fuck do you mean?
But you're almost like adding like a whole different, like a whole other syllable, like first come, first serve. But like first come, first served. You know what I mean? Like there's like a little bit
too
more.
much work.
There's a little bit more to it. It's just like not quick enough.
Oh.
But I get you. That's cool. I mean, I didn't think I thought about it that hard, but the next time someone says it, I'm gonna let them know.
No, then you're gonna be that guy. Shut the fuck up, Jason.
See,
I
you've
don't
done
care.
that to me though. But like I haven't thought about that to you. I mean, I
Oh,
haven't
really?
thought about that about you. Like, oh, like you're that.
Well, like
person.
I do it a lot, and people are like, "Shut the fuck up," and I'm like, "Okay, I guess."
See, like, yeah, I've always felt like you've only been helping me.
I'm
If
elevating
anything.
you.
Right. Like, I never felt like you were like, oh, you're stupid.
I want to help you.
So there was something I wanted to ask you about that I think we might have a good time talking about it, but it's people talking about how you can't have friends of the opposite sex, right? When you're in a relationship. Or even like when you're married. And their point is like, have you ever seen your parents hang out with their friends of the opposite sex
like one on
Basically
one.
just that. I guess it's like one on one too, right, and just chilling. And they're like, no, like that's why like you shouldn't have it. But it's like people who like might be like they're a little toxic. You know what I mean? You see them and you're like, oh, like.
I feel like that's like very common in like at least my household or like in the people that I grew up around and stuff, like my Mexican family and whatnot, and like other like friends and stuff, like their Mexican families, where it's like the spouses are only friends with each other. Like that's it. They don't have any other like friends, you know? So like there'd not even be any like idea of like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with the opposite sex, because it just doesn't exist,
Right.
you know? But I feel like it's like those ideals and stuff get a little older, because like a lot of people here are like first gen and like they have like different ideas and stuff. They're like, well, like I have friends and like I want to keep them around or whatever. But I get what you mean by like some people, like they are a little toxic, you know, and then like some people do still carry the ideals from like their parents, you know, so I get it. But I don't know. I would understand when you're married, because you have like, you want to set boundaries up, especially with your partner, because that's for life, you know? So I could see where it's like, well, I wouldn't want you hanging out by yourself with the opposite sex. You know what I mean? Like when you're married. I get that.
Why does that change though?
I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like it might be because of like the attention you give the other person. I really have no idea. And like maybe like they don't like that.
See, like I get the idea of it. Like I get why it's seen as bad, but I just like think like maybe it shouldn't. If anything, were your parents ever like, if you had a guy friend growing up where they were like, oh, es tu novio, like stuff like that?
Ugh, yeah.
I think like that's where
annoying.
it stems from, and like that's why people are uncomfortable hanging out with people of the opposite sex when they're in a relationship, because everyone is seen as your novio or novia.
Right.
You know what
it's
I
like
mean?
something that it's like completely not like, bro, like we can just be friends. Like people can just be friends, you know? But I don't know. I really do think, like you said, it stems back from like past ideals and shit like that. But who knows?
No, I don't know. I think if you're like open about your shit in the beginning,
If
like,
you're open and honest.
Right.
Right.
Like for me, for example, when I first started dating my girlfriend, I was like, hey, like I have a lot of friends who are girls, and like that's not gonna change. Like that's just not, because I've been that person before who dropped all my friends for a girl because they were like jealous of the friends.
Right.
Even though like nothing ever
was
happened
never
between
like
like
that.
the friends. Right.
Right.
It was never like that. And so like and also these friends, like Diana, who was here for the podcast, like I've known her since we were like 5 or 4. So,
right.
like,
A
we've
lot of
grown up.
them are like from like way back, you know, they're just like really old friends.
That's what I'm saying. And so like I think even if, let's say, I don't if I end up with someone else, right? I'm gonna have to continue telling these people that
look, this is what's up.
this is just what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think when I'm married, I don't think that should change much, because like I don't know. I personally don't think that
it's such
like
a terrible
it
thing.
should change just because you get married. You know? I don't know.
I
If
feel
anything, I think it'd be healthy, you know, for you to be able to talk to other people about stuff like that, you know?
I just think it's all about like your open communication and your honesty. And like a lot of the times, like the girlfriends, like I guess also become like friends with your friends, you know, if she wants to be nice or whatever. But I think it's just like setting the boundaries. I think you also have to like take them into consideration. You know how you said that like, oh, before I had a relationship and I had to drop my friends, right? I really don't think I forgot where I was going.
You really don't think
I really don't think that
like that's necessary? Like I shouldn't have had to drop my friends?
yeah, like that's just like your partner not like being also fair to you, you know, like setting up boundaries where it's like, hey, like I'm kind of uncomfortable, or like setting like a middle ground of like what is okay and like, hey, I feel uncomfortable with that, you know? So just kind of like setting a even playing field of like how you guys feel to like make it okay, you know?
So whose fault was that for me dropping my friends in that relationship? Was it my fault for at the beginning for not for not speaking up and saying that? Because maybe I didn't inform her that I had friends who were girls, and you know what I mean? Like, was that my fault for not telling her, or was that like more on her for just feeling a type of way and
I think it was
demanding?
both. I think it goes both ways, where like you could have told her and like she could also be understanding, but I think both just one extreme, you're just like, okay, well, I don't like that. Okay, then I'm gonna drop them.
Yeah.
You're a little toxic.
But yeah, I don't know. I think whenever I see those videos, it just like I laugh at it because I'm just like, I don't know if I
sometimes you
totally
don't
agree with
understand.
you.
Yeah. I get it. But I see it from both sides. But I don't know what I would personally do. Like if I were to get married, I really don't think that's gonna happen. But I would understand like the boundaries of like how my partner feels, So like if he wasn't too cool with it, like I said, find a middle ground. Like, okay, well, like, they're still my friends, and if you feel more comfortable them coming over while you're here so we can chill, like, okay, then that's fine, But also like not having them be like, oh, well, like, I don't fuck with them. Like, yeah, he can come over and like hang out or whatever. And he's just going to be like all fucking pouty in the corner. Like, that's also like, stop. Like, don't do that. But just shit like that.
And with any of your exes, you never went through that? Like, where they were like, you got to stop talking to all these people and it's like this and that?
So, my first ever boyfriend, he was like my high school relationship. And I was already friends with the friends that I had, right? The friends that I met in middle school. I met him in high school, and he knew them, and he knew that like I hung out with them, and we smoke, we fuck around, like we just hang out,
You guys
right?
are friends. You're just
yeah,
chilling.
we're just chilling. And he didn't really he was a lot into like sports. So like he really wasn't like a smoker, and like he didn't do a lot of like
Oh, he was a
going
soccer
out.
boy?
No, he was not a soccer boy. He did wrestling. But whenever I'd invite him and be like, hey, like come hang out, or like, hey, they're gonna come over, or I'm gonna go over there, like my friends were always so welcome and like, yeah, tell him to come, or like, why doesn't your boyfriend ever come or whatever? Because my boyfriend would always say no. He'd be like, no, I don't want to go. And when he would come, and let's say it was like a gathering at my house, he would just be in the corner, like just being fucking pouty and like being visibly like not happy being there. And like to me, that was like honestly so embarrassing, but more than anything, like I was fucking annoyed. I was like, don't do this. Like that for me was like one reason where I was like, this isn't gonna work out, because you're not like accepting or even giving my friends a chance, And I was like, I don't like that. So yeah, I kind of like get where that comes from. And I think I remember like telling him that one time where I was like, what the fuck? Like, do you not like my friends or something? Or like, I don't like that you're like visibly upset. Like you're making everyone else uncomfortable, like that's not cool. And ever since that time, I didn't mix them together. But I wasn't like, whenever I would be like, hey, I'm going to hang out with whatever, he'd be like, oh. And he would just be like pressed, and then he wouldn't text me for like the rest of the day. I'd be like, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like you're not gonna like guilt me into like, okay, actually guys, like I'm not gonna hang out because like he's mad. What the fuck? No.
Right.
But
And he never told you like why he was just acting like that? He just didn't like your friends or anything? Or
he was
what?
a terrible communicator. Like just garbage communicator. So I never knew. I feel like ever since then, I was always like, okay, whoever I end up like talking to or dating, like you're not going to do that to me. Like I'm not going to put up with it, because with him, like I put up with like a lot. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. So like, I feel like everyone else, like in the future, like they got along with like my friends and stuff, which is cool.
I feel, dude, I mean, it's obviously important. I have friends who still clown me about like the fact that I dropped them
Oh,
for
of
like a year.
course.
Yeah, like they're just like, oh, I don't even know what they say, but they just literally just
You remember when
like,
you all
remember
left
when,
us?
yeah, basically remember when you dropped us for that one girl? And I was like,
Uh,
yeah,
You're like, I like to forget.
we don't talk about those times. But I'd like to do everything to avoid that, obviously, in the future.
Hmm.
And yeah.
I feel like back then, like we were kids. Was that for you? Was that like high school or no? Because like for me, that was high school, and like now I'm just like, I wouldn't do that.
It
Like
was like
let
18, 19, around
okay,
there.
yeah. So like very recently out of high school.
Dude, that was 6, 7 years ago almost. Holy shit.
Stop.
Fuck. That's scary. But yeah, no, that was definitely high school. More like
Hmm.
high school around that time.
We're more developed in the brain. We know how
Mhm.
to communicate now.
So I have a habit of over explaining myself when let's say like I want to how do I like put this together? Like if I'm like asking for something, right? If I'm like, hey Jackie, like we should go out over here, but like I'm giving you like 3, 4 reasons like why we should, right?
Yeah.
And like so I have a habit of doing that with like
Or I would have been
everything.
like, yeah, bro, let's just
Yeah,
go.
yeah. And so there's been times where like I would like type out a whole thing to send you sometimes, and I'm
Hmm.
like, like I know she's not gonna even want to care about all this shit. Like just like ask the question, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so like I have a habit of over explaining when it comes to everything and like with everyone. And I feel like that comes from like my parents never being like, not that they're bad parents or anything, because they didn't obviously know this shit, but like them not being, I guess like is that understanding the right word?
Hmm.
Like me trying to like validate myself all the time growing up, and so like that's carried on with me. And it's like if I can go back and change one way that my parents raised me was, I guess,
Hmm.
like to validate or like to even like listen a little bit better, right?
Hmm.
And it's like they never did that, and so if I can go back and change that, I would. And so I
Hmm.
wanted to ask you: is there something that you feel that you would want to go back and change about the way your parents raised you, because you've developed a habit now that you're trying to like work on, or like, you know what I mean, change?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't even know if this was something that I developed when because of my parents or because of like the way that I was raised, but I always felt like at like a very young age, I was always like more aware of like let's say my siblings like in my home life, like any small demeanor that like any little like facial like expression change that like my parents would have or whatever, like I would notice it, you know, and I would like feel the feelings of like, oh my god, like my dad's angry now or like my mom's upset, and it just like carried on from like that to like other people like in school, like when the teacher's like annoyed, I'd be like, oh my god, like the teacher's annoyed, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just like that, like growing up. Like now, I feel like I'm too aware, and it's honestly kind of annoying. Like
Are
I
you
don't
are you
want
like
that.
correct though? Like if you let's say I walked into the room today, right? And you're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, he looks annoyed because like I made a specific like
Usually, most of the
face,"
time,
but you're like,
yeah.
you usually get it right.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'm just like remember I was saying like the tweet that was like, "Damn, like I wish I was stupid. Like y'all seem so happy. I wish I was a little less because I feel like I'd be a lot happier with not having to like analyze everyone. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because it's terrible."
So, but you think that's like because your parents raised you a specific way?
I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if it stems from like something that happened or like the way that I was raised. Because I feel like growing up, like you were saying, like my parents aren't bad parents, you know? Like they did their best and I love them. But I feel like my dad was like very angry a lot. And I always felt like I had to walk on eggshells sometimes.
Mm.
And when I did that was because I like noticed like someone's visibly upset or like someone said something a certain way. Then I'm just like, ugh, like, okay. And now like I do it here, like everywhere, you know?
But does that changes your entire mood too?
Yeah.
No.
Cause then like I feel it. And then I feel like I have to fix it, even though like I don't have to. Like that's not up to me, you know?
And you're still working on that?
I don't even know how to work on it. I have been like, okay, well, like that's not like your feelings, like just let it go. You know? So like sometimes I'm like, okay, well, that's not me. I don't have to fix it. I'm just gonna let them have it, let it go.
That's probably so hard for you to do though, especially like if you like with your dad, if you knew he was upset, are you trying to fix it, or you're like with your dad, you're just like with certain people, you're not trying to like help them.
Yeah. So
You
like
know what I mean?
sometimes like you were saying, like if it was my dad and I had the energy to do it, I'd be like, hey, like what's up? Or like let's
Oh, you
calm
would
down.
ask him.
You know, yeah. Because I feel like that's the best way to de-escalate like someone like like throwing a fit or whatever. You know, you just kind of like, hey, like what's going on? But a lot of the times, like with strangers or like other people, like people that I work with, like I can't, like I'm just like I can't do it. Like I don't have the energy and I don't care enough to like do that with you, you know? So I'm just like, oh, okay, let's just like let it go. But yeah.
I think that's some Pisces shit right there. You're so sensitive.
Stop. But speaking of Pisces, I did want to let you know, because I know I told you before that I never crossed my brain that my friend from back home was a Scorpio, because she was born November 1st. And I remember you were born in October, like late October. So I'm like, oh, like she also might be a Scorpio. And I feel like she's told me before, but I forget.
Wait, did she listen to the podcast?
Yeah. And what?
Because I've said before, like, oh, like the October Scorpios don't claim the November Scorpios.
It probably goes vice
Like,
versa.
honestly.
But you guys, I like putting together, because like before, like sometimes you would like say things in like a certain way or like do things, and it would really remind me of her, right? And then when like I put it together that you guys were both Scorpios, I was like, wait, because you guys do a very specific thing the same, where you guys, like, let's say something happens and you're like, oop. You guys both do like a very specific face, and you say it a certain way where you're like, oop, okay, like that.
I'm trying.
Like it's happened before, like with both of you guys.
I think I know what you're talking about. Like when, it's like a surprised face almost.
Yeah.
Like your eyes widen up, like like that.
Or like let's say some like drama's going on and like something's like shady. You guys are like, oop, like that. If that's like more specific, that's what you guys do.
I don't know why I do that, to be honest. It just comes so
know.
naturally.
I have no
I can
idea.
feel it though. Whenever I feel something like happening in the room, I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. But I feel like that's what you guys do. And I think that's crazy that like some because she was telling me this one time. This is her story, and I hope I do it justice by telling it. But I think I remember her saying that she was like in a class with like some students or whatever, and like I think they had to like be her partner or something like that. And I think one of the girls was like, oh, like she's like into like signs and astrology and stuff like that. And she was like, and my friend's like very quiet. She like never really talked during the class, and like everyone else was like, you know, having conversations, and she just like minded her business. And then the girl was like, oh, like basically like, what's your sign? But like, don't tell me, because she was like, I bet you by the end of like this course, I'm gonna figure it out. And she was like, oh, okay. And I guess by the end of, and she said that she like never really spoke. She never spoke out loud, or like if she had to, she would, but like she really didn't. So by the end of like, I guess the class at the end of the year, the girl was like, oh, I figured it out. Like you're this. And she was like, what? Like, how do you know? And she's like, oh, because this one time you did the certain face or whatever. And like, I knew because you guys do that. And she was like, what the fuck? So it's like very specific things, I guess.
I did not know that was like a specific thing to Scorpios.
I have no idea.
I didn't know that. I'm gonna get flamed on TikTok for being a Scorpio, dude. They don't like us
For being a Scorpio,
Yeah,
for
they don't
being
like us.
a name that starts with J.
Oh my god! There was a tweet. It was names that start with J. Guys who attended the lane and Scorpios.
The trifecta of fuckboy. Stay away. Ooh, the fourth that would really make it just okay. You're a fuckboy if you were a soccer boy.
I used to be. This is like early. This is early. This is like
See what I
before,
mean?
definitely before high school though. Like I stopped playing in high school because shit was just too far, bro. They're talking about like 5 a.m. practice. I had to wake up at like 3 a.m. to get to that shit. Nah, fuck that. Too
Holy
much.
shit.
But fuck, you just had something that like reminded me. Oh, another one is black ice car fresheners, which is like what when you said that it made me laugh
It's the
because
fuckboy scent.
like the fact that you wanted it, I was like, that's surprising. I don't think that I wouldn't have thought that you would want that.
You think so?
I would thought like you want maybe you want something more like apples or something. You know, you're
What?
very more.
No, I feel like black ice is like very. It smells like new. It smells like
Mhm.
fresh. You know,
Mhm.
not like fruity. That where like your head would hurt.
Well, I guess like fresh, like outdoor scents. Like that's how I feel like you would like more.
Cotton linen. No,
I've never smelled that one before.
I don't like those ones. If anything, I get like any like ocean scents.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Mhm. Something like actually fresh.
Mhm.
But no, none of that. None of warm vanilla scents. So when I was in middle school, you know how like when you're in middle school and you have to like change for gym now,
Uh-huh.
excuse me, in the locker rooms. And like all the girls would always have like their sprays and stuff. And so the cool girls would have like the Victoria's Secret ones, like the really expensive ones, but they would have like perfumes, not the little like, right. And then like other girls would have like the little Walmart ones or like the Bath and Body Works.
Pink.
That was like Victoria's Secret. That was some other shit. But like, I had a warm vanilla sugar like spray. Oh my god! And I remember like getting out of like every girl was like spraying on their shit, and I'm like, okay, bet like I'm gonna do it too. And like I sprayed mine, and like I literally like take a whiff like of anything like warm vanilla now, and like I want to throw up.
Wait, but you didn't like it back then, or like why'd you have it?
I loved it back then, and like
okay.
all the girls like. They either had like warm vanilla or they had like just some fruity shit, right? And like I know the fucking gym teachers hated us because the fucking locker rooms would be like, oh,
dude, it
like,
straight
it'd
up
be
smelled
so
like
much.
it smelled like piss and perfume and cologne. That's literally
And
like
sweat.
all
And straight up sweat. But I can't imagine the guys ones like Axe. Ugh, that's so nasty.
Dude, honestly, I still have like 3-4 bottles of Axe from like when I was 15.
Oh
Because that's
my
what
gosh.
everyone used. Oh, but when they released the chocolate one, fire.
I remember when they released that one.
Remember the commercials for that?
Mm-hmm. They really advertised for those young guys to get
Dude,
them.
Axe did a really good job at their advertising, but that's literally what all the fucking locker rooms smelled like was Axe and piss and sweat. It was disgusting. And it was like such a, oh my god, it was so, what's the word, pungent? Like you could taste it in your throat. Like that's how strong the smell was.
Oh my god. Speaking of locker rooms, I know guys are super nasty in the bathroom, but I feel like what people don't talk about enough is that like some girls are so disgusting. Like so disgusting like in the bathrooms. Like I've had like some experiences of like being in a public restroom and like sometimes like growing up in like locker rooms. I remember in high school this one time, this is going to be really graphic, trigger warning. But I remember like walking in, I think it was like my senior year, and I walked into the bathroom and in the stall, like legit, there was like a pad on the floor with like blood on it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how? And then like sometimes like the seat would have like blood stains. It'd be like, how do you not like clean this up? Like, I don't know. Some people just like don't like care. I don't know. Do they not care?
I've heard of stories like that.
But like
with
some girls can be so nasty. Ugh.
I guess they don't care because it's not their bathroom. They're just like,
that makes sense.
you know, fuck it, like someone's gonna clean this up anyway. So I guess like people who like don't clean up after themselves, maybe, because like if that's how they are in public, imagine how they are in private when no one else sees it.
That's so gross. That is so nasty.
But I have heard of stories where girls are a lot worse than guys.
Dude, yeah. Sometimes girls can be like, ugh, very unhygienic.
Yeah,
but
I've seen some TikToks though. Some like guys, they're just like straight up exposing themselves on fucking TikTok. Like there was this one dude who he was peeing, and then later on, like after he walked away from the toilet, he rubbed his feet on the carpet, like the top of his foot. So he slid his like the top of his foot on the carpet to basically wipe off the pee that splattered onto his foot. And like I didn't know this was a thing. Like sure, like there's like splatter and shit, but like I feel like that's something I've never done before, where I was like I gotta like wipe my foot on the carpet or something. I don't know. Maybe because I wear socks indoors, but I don't know.
I was seeing some like video of this guy saying that like guys don't like I've always been curious, like when guys pee, like you guys still have leftover pee, like just like girls, like you have leftover pee and that's why you wipe. And like guys like don't do that, like they do not wipe, and then like you just have like piss on your boxers or underwear and like on your leg, and like you walk around all day with that, like why?
So I was actually, you know, when I was having this conversation yesterday actually about like guys and like pee and shit, but I'm not gonna say I've never been in that position, because I've definitely been in that position, but I feel like definitely over the past like 7 or 8 years I've, you know, gotten very clean, I guess. But when you're a guy, like let's say like, because when I was 10, right, that's when your doctor starts kind of speaking to you, like when you're getting your physicals done, that's when your doctor starts kind of speaking to you like you're a little bit more grown, like you should know these things about your body, right? And so like I was told when I was like 10, you know, you're at that age where you could start basically like you're gonna start shaking the rest of the pee off. Like no one ever taught us to wipe. That just was not a thing. And so I guess like that's why a lot of guys like don't do it, because it's just like it was never something that we were taught. And I guess like yeah, like maybe you shouldn't be taught that you should wipe the remaining like pee off, but that's just not something that was like ever done, I guess, like in fucking the history of guys like peeing. And maybe like that's why no one does it. But we are taught to like just shake it off, and like that's it. And make sure you shake it well. But there are guys who like after they're done,
give a fuck,
dude, they
like,
don't give a fuck, right? And then just put that shit right back in, and it's like, bro, like you got a little like stream coming down the side of your thigh.
Ew,
like,
and then you
bro.
want bitches to give you head, like stop, like don't be disgusting. Oh my god. Girls, don't
respect yourself.
Yes, please.
Nah, but yeah, dude. I think we the guys gotta start making a big turn in like for example like
In
bidets.
hygiene.
Like bidets are starting to become a lot more popular in the US, and I feel like you're gonna start seeing them a lot more often. And I think what should be done, which is I'm probably gonna get like a lot of shit for this, but like when guys pee, you don't realize how much splatter there really is until you look at it under like a UV light or some shit, right? Like I saw this in a video, and like there's so much splatter, and especially like if you live with other with women. I mean, I guess with guys too, but like I mean that just multiplies it. You know what I mean? But like if you live with women, like and like obviously you guys are sitting down, that's just like a gross thought. To think that you can't even sit on your own toilet because like you're gonna get splatter all over your legs and shit. So I personally think guys should just start like, bro, just like there's nothing, what's the word, like demasculating about like sitting down while you pee. If anything, it's quicker, it's cleaner, and it's sort of like it's at this point you just shouldn't be like thinking like, oh, like
this shit's gay.
Yeah,
or like
basically,
whatever. Like
dude.
whatever the fuck guys think that is.
Like my friends are gonna start like calling me pussy and shit. Like, bro, just sit down. Like it takes like 10 seconds, and it's a lot. I think it's a lot cleaner. Cause I never thought about that. Because my mom being the only woman in the house, we don't we just never thought about those things. And like she's
Right.
not teaching us these things, and my
But
dad's not
maybe
teaching
she
us these
doesn't know
things.
either.
That's
You
what I'm
know.
saying. So like that's why a lot of guys I feel like don't have that proper hygiene. So like, cause I've definitely been there, and yeah, it's gross.
I remember like when I moved in here with my boyfriend, my roommate, and I brought flushable wipes.
Mhm.
And my boyfriend's like, "What the fuck are those?" I'm like, "They're flushable wipes." But like I try not to flush them anymore because like I did hear that they're like really bad
Yeah, they get like
for
clogged
the
up and shit.
environment. Yeah. So I just like throw them away. But like still like they come in handy like way more than I saw this one argument on Twitter where this guy was like, "Oh, like you guys stick your hand in like in your ass basically to when you shower to like clean your ass."
Dude, I seen that.
And people were like, well, just say you have a dirty ass and go."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, like I wouldn't do that shit, like this and that."
He's like, it's gay, right? He's
yeah,
like, I'm not gonna stick my own
what?
finger in my
or like
ass.
they think it's gay, or like they think it's like really dirty.
Mhm.
It's like, bro, like you're washing your body. You could wash your hand too. Like, stop. But a lot of guys exposing themselves, like, y'all are nasty.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like I didn't have like that bad of hygiene, but a lot of the guys I seen on TikTok, and they're just like straight up exposing themselves, like, oh, like don't tell the girls about this one, like you know what I mean, like shit like that, like bro, like, don't tell anyone about that shit, like keep that to yourself, like don't spread this, don't think it's okay.
The young impressionable minds are also looking at this. Please don't do it.
Yeah, I think we're making a good stride towards better hygiene overall, though. I feel like we are. I don't know.
So you know how we were talking about like Easter and stuff and like how I went home? Well, previous times like when I would go home, like my family, not that we don't communicate because we have like good communication and all, but a lot of times like it's just really awkward silence. Like with us, like let's say it's just like my parents and like my siblings, we're fine. If we don't talk or like whatever and we're in the same house, like it's cool. But whenever we like bring company or whatever and they interact with us, like sometimes they say something and like sometimes like none of them like say anything back, you know? But it gets really awkward. And like I'm gonna bring up this like specific part when my sister recently got engaged, like they came over and they wanted to tell us, you know, this was like during quarantine. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like we're engaged." Like we saw it coming though. Like we knew, I think I was like maybe the first one to know. And then I told my sister, I was like, "Don't tell my parents, like it's going to be a surprise." and then my parents were there and like they've been together like 9-10 years.
Jesus.
So like
so long.
my parents like they're just like, okay, well like they're gonna end up together, you know, like we know like they're gonna get married eventually. So like the time came and like they came over, my sister and her fiance, and they were like, "Oh, like we're getting married." And like obviously we were like, "Oh my god, like congrats," like this and that. And like my brother-in-law, he's Vietnamese, so he doesn't know that much Spanish, but he tries really hard to learn Spanish. And like they would ask like, "Oh, like so what date are you thinking?" And then like my sister would like say, and like my parents would be like, "Oh, okay." And like there would be such awkward silences where I like personally me, like I've always felt the need to like entertain. Like that has always been me growing up because that they're that way.
Because of that silence.
Because of the silence that like the family like always, and it's not like a bad silence, it's just like really awkward. So like growing up, like I always felt the need to like entertain and like don't make it get awkward. So like when they were there, like I was cracking jokes and like I was asking them like questions that were relevant, you know, questions that I don't think my parents would have like thought to like ask or whatever. And I was basically the one carrying the conversation. And I remember like they left and I told the rest, like my little sister and like my parents, I sat them down. I was like, "Can you stop doing that? Like you guys," and they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, you guys like like you guys did not seem excited. You know, I was like, I don't want them to feel like, oh, like they didn't care enough or whatever. And I'm like, you guys like always do stuff like that. Like, don't do that. Because I don't know. For me, that was probably like, oh, like I'm tired of having to entertain all the time. If you guys just like weren't like that, you know? And same like every time that like I go home and like let's say my boyfriend comes or like my brother-in-law comes and stuff and we're all together and like things get awkward and I'm just like, oh guys, like, you know, what about this, what about that? And it's so tiring
It's
to me, like it's
exhausting,
so
right?
draining. And not just like there, like I do it here, I do it everywhere, where it's just like I don't want those like awkward moments, but like also I'm like, fuck, like I'm so tired.
But it's not that you don't. It's not that you don't like silence, right? Because you can. You're fine with silence among other
Yeah.
people. It's just like you could feel like the
I think
awkwardness.
it goes back to like I don't want anyone to feel annoyed or like awkward or whatever because I see it in their face, you know, and I'm like, oh, I don't want that to happen. So let me just try to fix it by like entertaining or whatever. And it's so much.
So I have a question. So when you came over that one day and you met both my parents and like remember we're all eating, did you feel that awkwardness?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like that's how it's literally exactly how my parents are. Like it's not that like maybe it's not that they're not
There's just like
excited.
really nothing to talk about or like whatever.
But
like
there
I get
is
it.
stuff to talk about though. Like who like basically who are you? Like who are you hanging out with? Our son, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. And like I guess like they never asked those questions. Because even like you said, like when you're bringing over, like when I bring my girlfriend over, like I hate being in that situation where like I have to constantly keep the conversation going because like my mom's not gonna say anything, my dad's not gonna say anything. And it just ends up being
Dude,
awkward.
I feel like it's so exhausting sometimes. Like for Easter, I felt like I did that a lot because everyone's like eating and like chilling, whatever. But I'm like, this is weird. Like people are looking bored, like whatever. And I really could have just let it go. But I was like, hey guys, like, you know, remember this, like remember that, and like talking to my mom, like all this stuff. And like yesterday, I don't think I said a single word. Like when we came back here and like my boyfriend went to work and stuff, and I literally just sat in silence for the entire day because I was so tired. I was like, I can't, like, I have to recuperate, you know? But it was so much.
So usually after when you have visita and you let's say like you're the person keeping up the conversation and shit, after they leave, you go like because I go straight to my room and I'm like I'm
yeah,
done.
like I go
I'm-
and like lay down and I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me just recharge for a second because it's like it's so much.
So what do they
energy.
tell you though when you were like you guys just don't seem like you care or whatever?
They were like, no, like we care. But they were saying like, well, we always just kind of knew like they were going to get engaged. We just never knew when. And like, now is the time. So they were like, no, we're excited. And I'm like, you guys don't seem like it.
Because you don't want him to feel bad, right?
Yeah,
That's,
I
like,
didn't want him
because
to
you know your
feel like
sister
that.
understands. Like that's how your parents are, but maybe she
Right.
doesn't understand.
Yeah. Like I was saying like language barrier and like stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God. But it's fine. I don't think anyone holds like I honestly don't think anyone sees it that way. Like but me. So
how are you when it's just you and your family? Like, are you still keeping up the conversation?
yeah, because I sometimes want to, but like for Easter, I was trying to do that because like my boyfriend was there and my mom is really trying to learn English. Like she's gotten like so much better. And like my little sister was there too. And we were all like talking or whatever. But I would like tell my mom stories because I don't go home too often. So like I would tell her what's going on. Like she would ask Jacob things and like shit like that. And then at one point my mom was like wasn't saying anything. And then when I was like telling stories, she'd be like, and then I looked at my boyfriend and I was like, I feel like everyone wants me to shut the fuck up. So I just sat in silence for the rest of like me being there. But yeah.
Dude, I feel that though. I definitely feel that because I feel like I'm always put in that position. And like sometimes like I know I speak too much. Sometimes I just like talk out of my ass. Like when we went to go eat breakfast one time, it was my whole family, and then Jonathan brought his girlfriend, and again like same. The good thing is like she speaks Spanish, so like her and my mom can talk. but my mom still gets like awkward and shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm just like dude, same.
You
I'm
have
just
to
stuck in the position where like
entertain.
fuck, like what should we talk about next? What should we talk about next? And I don't know. It just sucks. I feel you. It's exhausting.
No, yeah,
It's
for sure.
exhausting. There is this. I read this one thing that if you're like that with other people, like let's say like you're with your friends, right? And like after they leave, you just feel like it was like you need to take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably because you're not being yourself. Because like you feel like you have to put on a mask almost and like
Mm-hmm.
be the entertainer, even though like you're really not. Like you might be like entertainer, but like not to like
Not to the extent.
that of what you're being in that
Right.
situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like if you're like that with other people, it's because you have a mask on and you're not being yourself. So like you're
Mm-hmm.
spending so much energy trying to be basically someone else that like,
Well,
you know.
yeah, being someone else, but there's also a difference of like, you know, like a lot of people say like, oh, Geminis like do this or whatever. And I saw this video of like people saying like Geminis almost like take on your own, like they have to mirror you when you guys hang out or like you're around them, just so they can like you almost. Because okay, if I'm gonna be talking to you and like we're gonna get along, it's because I'm gonna get to know what you like and how you talk and like how you are, so I can do that for you, you know. And then they're like, oh well, like I don't even know who I am, you know, because like with everyone else it's like this different person, you know, and they feel like, oh, like existential crisis.
Fuck.
You know. And I have heard people like say stuff like that, like I have to like mirror like others and stuff, even like if you don't know you're doing it, like you're doing it
unconsciously.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's scary,
dude. That's how I felt in like
that also
retail.
feels draining.
No, yeah, definitely. In like retail, that's what we were taught, to mirror your customers, so you're like, able to like relate to them and shit.
Is that that Adidas training?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah. They never told you guys that?
Mm-mm.
To like mirror your customer?
Every company
No?
I worked for, they didn't say like mirror your customer.
That was like what they were built on, was like you mirroring your customer, and like we like practice it in like little skits and shit too.
Ugh, when you'd have like the meetings and stuff, like,
Oh,
okay, we're gonna break out and do team building. I would rather pass away.
See, but I actually liked my coworkers though, so like it was cool, it was chill, like it wasn't like awkward or anything. It was a good time. Like our Black Friday meetings, they were so fun. I actually like missed those meetings, but because it's just like one big like hangout, you know?
Right. Every single time that we'd have like team building like meetings for like, let's say a holiday meeting, whatever, for every company that I worked for, they would know who got along with who and who was friends with who. And they'd always like separate us into the complete opposite. Like you can't be with your friends basically. So like they'd be like, oh, we want you guys to like talk to your other coworkers. Like they're cool, but like we can't fuck around, you know? Like fuck, we actually have to like do the scenario.
Right.
But I think like one of the coolest companies that I worked for that was actually really fun was the North Face. Like their meetings, because they weren't like a really small store. Like we would have like, I would say 50 employees. So every time you worked, you would work with like at least 5 to 10 people.
And they're always like new people?
They're not always new people, but like it's like the same people all the time. And that's where I met like a lot of my friends. That's where I met Jade and Michael. And I think they're like the only ones that I like kept.
Oh, they both worked at North Face?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And like everyone was so fun, and like we'd always fuck around. So the meetings were huge. And like we all got together, and sometimes people were like, oh, let's go to the bar after, like let's do this or whatever, and we'd be like, bet. So that was like a really fun time. But they had really good meetings, and they would give us really good, like, let's say on Black Friday, they'd have like catering, not like a shitty little pizza like every other company I worked for, like
shitty little pizza,
shitty little Domino's pizza. Like they had like good shit. Like they would cater like Potbelly, like everything.
Oh, okay.
Like really good
money.
shit. Yeah, they had money.
You guys ever had Chick-fil-A?
Because
Because the Chick-fil-A was right next to what was the Chick-fil-A at?
No, that
That's
was
close
like
to
on
us, no?
Chicago and by the Red Line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got Chick-fil-A catered sometimes. That was cool.
But yeah.
Damn, you guys got pod bellies?
Yeah, they were in
Fuck.
the 900 building, like across the street. But then they were also like on like near Michigan and Chicago, like around there. But yeah, they were pretty cool.
See, like, I never got that. When I turned 21 at that point, I was already not there. I was basically just doing like, what I'm doing now. And I kind of miss having that whole, like, how do I explain this? Because like I know not everyone can relate. People hate their jobs and like they hate their coworkers, but like I feel like at Adidas, like I really didn't get that until the point where I was about to leave. Like that's when like all the new people started coming in. It just they just
oh my
weren't.
God, they weren't the same.
Bro, they were lame. Not everyone though. Like a couple of them were just like too
much.
Yeah. But when I got there though, oh, dude, it was so cool because
a
everybody
party.
was grown, dude. Yeah, it was a good time. But
North
changed.
Face was the first job that I had where like I worked with like adults, like
Right.
adults, and it was cool because like the adults were way more fun, they could go out, like do shit. So it was really cool. We had, since the North Face was like an outdoor like company, basically they would make goods for like outdoors, like hiking, shit like that. You guys know. But we would have like trips, like the company would pay like a certain like amount for us to like go on like trips to, let's say, like volunteer or like to learn about like the outdoors if you wanted to go on like a hike or some shit like that. Like they would contribute money, a certain amount of money to you to go on these like things, right? To like go exploring, because their whole thing was like never stop exploring or whatever. And this one time we went on it sounded cool, but then when it actually happened, like it was too much. Like we went horseback riding.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and it was
cool.
like, that was my first time like being on a horse. And like, bro, like at the time I'm like 90 pounds on this big ass horse. And we're doing the trail and they put me like second to last. I'm like, no, like I'm slow. Like I don't know how to work. When they're like kick the horse for it to start galloping, I'm not strong enough to do that. Yeah, like I'm not strong enough. And they're like, no, you have to kick it harder. And I'm like, I can't. I'm going as hard as I can. And then when it would start like galloping, it would like go like every way. I'm like, no, like this is so bad. Like I want to go home. But like all my cool coworkers that were there and like we all hung out after and stuff. But like it was fun. It was just like really hard. Like the horse part.
And that was like, only one day, or was it like
it
a
was
2 or
only
3 day
one day.
thing? Oh yeah. Where was that at?
It was like in the suburbs. I don't really know where, but I think after we went to I don't remember the little town, but there was like a lot of little shopping like around and stuff. I forgot the place.
Like Schaumburg or some shit like that. No, like further.
No, I think it was like maybe the same. It was like, I don't even remember. Speaking of I don't remember, I feel like I'm losing my memory faster and faster. Which is like really bad because yesterday I had to call to confirm my job interview for tomorrow, and I couldn't remember like the words to say, like confirm my interview. So I'm on the phone and I'm like, hey, like I was just calling so I could and then I blanked out. I'm like, fuck, this sounds so bad. And I was like, oh, like to confirm my interview. Yeah. And I was like, oh, sorry. And they're like, oh, like it's okay. Like, what's your name? And I was like, stop.
I don't want to give it to you no more.
I'm not going to get it.
You should get like a fake name and then just call like 10 minutes later.
No, but
do you think it's the weed?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, I really think so. I should go on a tea break.
I have that concern too. Oh, by the way, speaking of tea breaks, I'm on a tea break right now. I'm trying to go for like only a week because I want to get like a good, like when you first started like smoking, like your highs would be just full of like laughter and shit.
Yeah,
that'd be just like so much better. And like that's kind of like what I want to do for 420. I kind of want to like take a little break.
Let
so for
loose.
420, right? I'm just like a little bit more loose. And so over the weekend, I think this was just like Friday, so past last week. um, my friend Scotty, remember the one with the tattoo, with the butt
Yeah.
tattoo? He came
Yeah.
he came back from Colorado for the weekend, and so
He brought you gifts.
so he brought a lot of shit, and dude, apparently you can, I don't want to like like I don't want to like expose him or anything, but like for when it comes to airports, he just brought like a bunch of shit with him, like they're just, I guess they're just okay with it.
And I feel like it's a lot safer when you do it like in the States though.
Right, no, definitely. I wonder if they care, if they don't care because it's like you're coming from a legal state to another legal state, so maybe that's why they don't care. But so over there he brought this like capsule thing. It's 1,000 milligrams of worth of edibles, right? And that probably cost him, I think he said like $25. So 50 milligrams each fucking edible. Over here, they're only allowed to sell up to 100 milligrams. And it's like $60, and each little fucking gummy is like 10 milligrams. So it's just like nothing compared to like over there.
Right.
And so he brought up a shit ton of stuff. And so before he got there though, we had already smoked like 2 joints and a bowl. And so then he got here and he's like, okay, like I'm rolling a blunt. So we rolled up another blunt and we were smoking that blunt, and he also starts passing out edibles, and I'm like, fuck. And like in my head, I'm like, I didn't think anything of it. I was just, I'm just gonna take it and then that's it. And so we eat it. And at one point, all the girls went to the couch, and then Scotty, myself, and my friend's brother were just sitting at the table, just facing the TV at this point, right? And like I'm in the back, so like I'm able to see everybody, but like nobody can see me. It's like that's like kind of like where I'm sitting at. And for some reason I just got way too in my head, bro. Like way too in my head. I just started thinking about like everything and anything. It honestly felt the same. You know, like when you're on acid and like all those thoughts just like come to your head. That's literally what it felt like.
Like
just
an overload.
Like that. It's too much. And so I was like to my friend's brother, I was like, Joshua, like, can you help me like open the door to like the patio or whatever, and the balcony, and like can you help me like open the door, because I don't think I can like. As I was getting up, I felt like my arms were shaking because like of how high I was. I just wasn't able to like walk at that point, basically. And so he opens the door for me, like, cool, like, thanks, man. And I just go outside for like 5 minutes, and I'm just like telling myself I gotta breathe, because I think the inside was like Hautbox as well, so I feel like that's why it like, didn't make things any better. And so I'm outside for like 5 minutes, and I'm just like trying to just focus on the cars passing by, you know, trying to get like my head cleared. And I feel a lot better. But after that day, the morning afterwards, my head just felt like fried. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just felt like it was way too much weed, and I felt disgusting with myself. I was like, I feel gross. My body feels like just dead. Done. I want to take like a little break. So right now I'm taking a little break, and I want to do like a week, maybe 2 weeks, a little pushing it. I don't know, but definitely like a week. I feel like a week's a good amount of time that like I'll be able to like cleanse my body and get it all ready for 420 and whatnot. Not that like I want to go crazy for 420, but like I want to be like,
you want to have fun.
Right, exactly. Right. And I feel like I don't get that after I smoke for a long while, because I probably smoke like every day. I don't get that same high anymore. Right. I'm very like in my head, and I'm just like not focused, you know, because I have a very addictive personality, and I feel like that's what's fucking me up.
That's scary.
Yeah, I know it is, because even though weed itself isn't addictive, I feel like I get addicted to it, because like I'm like, oh, I'm anxious, let me smoke. I'm sad, like let me smoke. You know what I mean? Like every little reason.
You have any emotion, let me smoke really quick.
Or like I finished a little task on my whatever I'm working on.
A reward.
Like, cool, a reward, exactly. I was just like doing it way too much, and I started feeling like the tolls. But even when we're like recording and we're smoking, sometimes I just like, I'm just not here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know you feel it, and like I definitely feel it. And I just feel stupid. I'm just like,
I think that was last week's episode. It was like definitely too much. It was too much. I was like,
because I'm saying like I just get too much in my head, you know, and I'm just not here.
Right.
And like even though like I should be using it to be here, but I'm not. So that's why I want to take a little break and get back to
reality.
Get back to reality. But I think that's a good point to end this episode.
For sure.
But again, if you guys are interested in sending in some art, let us know. We'd love to pick it up from you. If you're in Chicago, that'd be cool.
For sure.
Thanks for 4,000 downloads. We really appreciate it. We're almost halfway to 10K, which we want to hit by the end of the year.
It's only getting faster and faster, which I think is crazy. But for sure, if you guys watch a lot of YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a couple of our last episodes up there. If you guys want to actually look at us while we're talking.
Please don't.
But yeah, should be fun. Like I said last week, we're going to have some cool stuff going on for 420 if you guys want to stick around and, you know, join.
All right, we're out.
All right, we're out.
See you guys later.
See ya.